Diesel at Love's gas station costs $4.90 a gallon, ruining Monday's lunchtime break hour for dozens of truck drivers.
130 gallons is like $655.
Shut up.
And that's not even a full tank.
What was $300 to $400 to fill up ticked up today to eye-bulging totals.
Over there, 625, and we're still going.
I watched one tank reach $762.
It's a lot. If you had a hat on, man, I'd be like, take your hat off when you talk to me, man.
What's going on, good and wonderful people? It is Saja here, and I'm back with another banger today. So across the country, the price of fuel has surged, and it has caused a lot of frustration in the trucking industry. Now, we all know the reason why for the rise in fuel prices. It's because of the war in the Middle East. Now, President Trump is predicting that this war should not, last very long, should only be a few weeks. Now, mind you, the last time we were in the Middle East, for 20 years, so keep that in mind. But anyways, regardless, if you're a truck driver, particularly an owner-operator, rising fuel prices are cutting into your profit margins. So let's take a look at just how much owner-operators and lease drivers are paying for fuel on a weekly basis.
Just out of curiosity, right? Y'all know the fuel prices are going up. Y'all see my truck parked right there. Are y'all moving y'all's truck right now? And if so, what is your minimum that you are moving your box truck for? I feel so bad for the semi guys because I know y'all's overhead is way more than ours. But we're not moving y'all. We're not doing it. Diesel is over $5.50 a gallon in Georgia, where we're based out of.
This is insane. This is not AI, people. No. This is real. Almost $1,000 for fuel. Are you kidding me?
Yes, that is absolutely insane. $600, $700, $800, $900, $1,000 for fuel. Last weekend, I think the weekend of March 8th, if I'm not mistaken, crude oil prices shot up all the way to $112 a barrel before crashing this past Monday to about $83-ish a barrel. It has creeped back up, but not as high as $112 per barrel. But even though the price of WTI crude oil has fallen, prices around the nation, diesel prices, fuel prices, remain sky high. And we have not seen prices this high the past 5 years. Last time we saw it was when Russia invaded Ukraine, and that has caused the United States to place sanctions on Russia. However, this is different because Iran is actually a much more major global supplier of oil, accounting for 20% of the market. So any type of conflict in that particular region of the world will be very much disruptive. And obviously, these disruptions are not to be taken lightly because fuel accounts for at least 20 to 30% of carriers' operations. Now, we do, of course, have the mega carriers, the big mega carrier giants. They will be okay during this conflict. In fact, you could argue that they'll be more than fine no matter what the situation may be because, they're pretty much monopolizing the trucking industry. We got smaller carriers selling out to the larger carriers and they're taking over and whatnot. And, of course, owner-operators and the small fleet guys are always displaced in times of conflict, but different story, I digress. Mega carriers are capable of operating so efficiently during times of crisis that they have the capacity to negotiate fuel surcharges, bulk discounts, and even fuel contracts. But anyways, as for the company drivers, while we don't pay for fuel, we're also affected by the rising cost of diesel because we're paid, whether it's cents per mile, percentage pay, or any type of convoluted pay system, no matter what we're being paid, our wages remain stagnant. Now, obviously, that's not just company drivers, but this is a trucking channel. Across the board, everybody's wages are pretty much stagnant when you account for inflation or even worth less. And it's especially going to be worth less because if the price of diesel is increasing, everything else is increasing. But more on this later. Now, as for the smaller carriers and the owner operators, you guys are feeling it. It's very much painful right now for you, and I really do feel bad for you. I hope you guys are doing everything you can to mitigate the risk right now because it's very, 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 very dire, it seems, especially given how thin profit margins are and how they have been very thin because we've been in a multi-year freight recession. But again, more on that later. As a small fleet owner or owner operator, you simply don't have the same access to fuel contracts, fuel surcharges, bulk discounts that these mega giants have. In fact, the only carriers that are willing to race to the bottom, no matter what the situation may be, are mega carriers and even chameleon carriers. Now, like I said, this ultimately hurts the owner operator, the small fleet owner. In fact, we have popular TikTok creators like the Trucker Shade Room that highlight just how much this affects us. Now, he pretty much makes TikToks about low freight rates, and despite fuel prices being $8, $10 a gallon, across the nation, in some parts of the nation rather, brokers are not budging. In fact, they're still paying $1.50, $1.60 a mile. So let's take a look at that.
For taking these stupid dumbass loads all the way to California, y'all some real Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, real talk. And the fuel $8 a gallon. So you ain't gonna make shit off this stupid dumbass load. Y'all take a look at this stupid dumbass load right here picking up out of New Jersey going way to California. 30,000 pounds, you're gonna have to drive 2,795 miles, and they're gonna pay you $1.69 a mile. Yeah, you heard what I said. They wouldn't have paid your owner not best $1.69 a mile to take the stupid dumbass load all the way to California. $4,720. Let's take a look at this stupid dumbass load. Operating costs for this load, you're gonna have to put away $2,085 for maintenance. Fuel costs, you're gonna burn $2,089 on fuel. Look at your profit. Look at your motherfucking profit. They're gonna pay your ass $544. You ain't gonna even see that because fuel's so high. You might as well get ready to transfer that $554 to your motherfucking fuel costs. The dumb way.
So yes, unfortunately, freight rates don't rise up the same speed as fuel prices do. In fact, if you are running the spot market, how are you making money, especially now? Let me know in the comments down below. Are you taking a loss or are you parking your truck? And now, just a shameless plug. Since I've mentioned how much I've had a hard time looking for another job, I've had some people in my comments suggest that I consider becoming an owner operator. Well, I don't think now is the good time, obviously. And it's honestly a shame because industry analysts were predicting that the freight recession was finally ending. We were seeing signs of recovery. Freight demand had slowly improved and truck orders were rising. Well, it seems like all that progress has halted. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if the price of fuel increases, this can already have a ripple effect on an already bad and struggling economy. Trucks move roughly 70% of all freight in the United States. And I mentioned earlier how driver wages were stagnant. Yeah, everybody else's wages are also stagnant. And given how, diesel prices, they pretty much affect the entire supply chain, everything, everyday consumer goods like groceries, construction materials, furniture, retail goods, appliances will all see increases in prices unless there is a immediate solution to what's going on in the Middle East. And once again, we have to deal with inflation, something that has plagued the previous administration, the Biden administration. And even though we're only 15 months into Trump's second term, it's not looking too good. Not only is diesel up, and that of course is going to have a ripple effect on the economy, no one can find a job. I mentioned how I'm struggling to find a job. Well, the jobs report last month was projected to add 55,000 jobs to the economy. Instead, they lost 92,000 jobs. There are more people that are unemployed or underemployed, especially in my case, than jobs available. So what can be done about this? Well, personally, I think we're in the end stages of capitalism already, and the fact that the price of diesel is already up along with everything else, it does not make it any better whatsoever. Now, I am not anti-capitalist because I don't think there is a better alternative to capitalism, to be honest with you. We are way too selfish of a people to even consider a socialism type economy, but that's my opinion. This is a trucking channel, so we're going to talk about what the truckers are going to do. So I mentioned earlier that carriers, they have access to these contracts, these fuel discounts, these fuel surcharges. They, of course, can negotiate better freight rates. Even owner operators, small fleet owners, they can also try to negotiate better freight rates. In addition to that, they can reduce deadhead miles, or they can even plan their fuel stops more efficiently to save on the price at the pump. But then again, there are a lot of people that have found a way to not pay the actual price at the pump, like with the fuel discount. Certain fleet cards, whatever, can give you a fuel discount, but I don't know much about all that. You're gonna have to watch people like, I guess, Chase and Andrew Jackson, or even Josh Longino, however you pronounce his name. But anyways, another way that carriers are responding to the price of diesel is actually governing their trucks. Now, one of the biggest examples, most recent examples that I've heard of is Prime Inc. They are actually governing their trucks at 62 miles per hour. It's either Prime Inc. or one of Prime Inc.'s subsidiaries like Trans Am or Wilson Logistics. They send out this company email, and the drivers are now having to drive only 62 miles an hour because that's the most fuel efficient, I guess. Now, all
So this big trucking company just sent out a fleet-wide message saying that they were going to reduce their truck speed from 65 miles an hour to 62 miles an hour. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know if it was made up. I don't know if somebody just sent it to this other YouTuber so he talk about it. I don't know if it's true. Let's assume it's true though, okay? They said in the message that that's the perfect efficiency for fuel mileage without interrupting the service of getting the loads to the shippers and receivers on time, right?
Now, granted, all mega carriers have governed trucks, but of course, Prime is the most egregious. But what do you guys think? Are you an owner operator out there that is struggling right now, or have you just thrown in the towel and parked your truck? Let me know in the comments down below. You guys are the greatest. You guys are the best audience on the internet. And if you enjoy content like this, hit the like button, comment, rate, share, and subscribe. I am Taja Ellison, and I will see you next time.